G.I. Joe characters, a groovy 1960s breakdown. Welcome, groovy viewers, to a far-out journey where we combine the timeless world of G.I. Joe with the cultural whirlwind of the 1960s. Prepare yourself for an unforgettable blend of nostalgia, action, and retro charm as we take an imaginative dive into how G.I. Joe's iconic characters could thrive in one of the coolest decades ever. From mod fashion to Cold War espionage, this era's vibrant aesthetics and cultural vibes are the perfect setting for the real American heroes. Let's dust off the vinyl records, crank up the spy thriller soundtracks, and reimagine G.I. Joe with a 1960s twist. Before G.I. Joe jumps into action, let's take a moment to soak in the cultural backdrop of the 1960s. This was a decade like no other, brimming with rebellious energy, groundbreaking music, and larger-than-life pop culture icons. Picture this: movie theaters buzzing with James Bond's suave antics, superhero shows taking over TV screens, and comic books flourishing with colorful, larger-than-life characters. The fashion, mod mini dresses, bold prints, and sharp suits that screamed cool. Spy thrillers ruled the airwaves, jazz and surf rock set the tone, and the Cold War era added a spy versus spy intrigue that defined the times. It was a world full of heroes, villains, and sensational gadgets, a perfect playground to reimagine G.I. Joe. What if Duke, Snake Eyes, and the rest of the gang marched straight out of the groovy 60s? Let's give these characters a total retro reboot that blends their iconic personalities with swinging 60s flair. First up, we've got Duke. With his clean-cut look and all-American grit, Duke is a natural fit for the era's ultimate action hero. Imagine him sporting a classic 1960s crew cut, a leather bomber jacket, and khaki pants, straight out of an old war flick. He communicates with his team using crackling transistor radios and rallies them with passion and precision, like the star of a patriotic film playing at your neighborhood drive-in theater. Next, we've got Snake Eyes, the silent and enigmatic ninja. No character screams 1960s cinema more than Snake Eyes, decked out in sleek black, cutting through tense battles like a character from a classic Bruce Lee kung fu flick. He doesn't need words, just his fists, and his aura becomes even more enigmatic in this retro reinterpretation. Oh boy, Scarlett is getting the ultimate 60s makeover. Think mod-inspired miniskirts, high boots, and bold winged eyeliner. But don't be fooled by her style. This lady's got smarts and guts. As a tech-savvy, quick-witted femme fatale, she handles herself with grace, blending intellect with combat expertise. Whether she's deciphering enemy plans or outmaneuvering Cobra operatives, Scarlett embodies the 1960s spirit of dynamic, empowered women. Cue the jazz. Roadblock steps in as a formidable yet charismatic character with a vibe that screams soul music and strength. Picture him wielding a machine gun while belting out a quick line of poetry, the perfect blend of groovy counterculture and military might. Roadblock's 60s style confidence would win him fans wherever he goes. With Shipwreck, we dive straight into 1960s naval adventure films. Picture him strolling onto the scene in bell-bottom jeans, cracking jokes, and carrying a parrot on his shoulder for comic relief. He mixes humor with bravery as the sailor who's always ready for a wild seafaring mission. Gung-Ho bursts onto the stage as the lovable tough guy, inspired by the 1960s trend of big personalities and even bigger laughs in action films. Whether busting down enemy strongholds or delivering hilarious one-liners on the battlefield, his southern charm and bold demeanor make him a fan favorite. Of course, every hero team needs a properly groovy cast of bad guys to fight against, and Cobra doesn't disappoint in their 1960s reimagining. Cobra Commander gets the ultimate Saturday morning cartoon treatment. His dramatic monologues and over-the-top escape plans are dialed up to match the campy tone of the 60s. Picture him throwing tantrums in a lair filled with blinking lights, cackling with delight as he hatches another elaborate plan to take over the world. The Baroness becomes the quintessential glamorous antagonist, channeling Cold War vibes with a splash of Bond villain allure. Always in her sleek cat suits and rocking villainous sophistication, she's all about deception and strength blended seamlessly with 1960s European chic. She's the perfect foil to Scarlett's heroism. Let's talk about the tools of the trade. In the 1960s, science fiction and spy thrillers made gadgets the thing to have, so it's only fitting that G.I. Joe gear would get head-to-toe retrofitted. Picture Duke with a wristwatch communicator, Scarlett with lipstick dart guns, and Snake Eyes with an ultrasonic sword. Meanwhile, Roadblock rolls in with a transforming boombox-turned weapon, and the team operates their missions from a super spy jet straight out of a comic book cover. Remember those bold color palettes and chrome finishes? They'll feature heavily in this wild reimagining. Even their enemies get some funky 1960s tech. Cobra Commander's lair brims with oversized glowing consoles, and his minions use jetpacks painted in garish neon colors. Visually, this imagined world springs from the pages of vintage comic books, complete with bold outlines, bright color blocks, and dramatic action sequences, Q-zooming camera angles, dramatic split screens, and comic-inspired BAM and WHAM effects for fight scenes. The Joe versus Cobra battles have never looked this groovy. No 1960s-inspired story would be complete without a killer soundtrack. Think surf rock colliding with spy tunes, groovy guitar riffs mixing with tense orchestral tracks. Imagine Scarlet sneaking into a Cobra lab to snappy jazz rhythms, or Duke leading his squad to the twang of electric surf guitars. What makes this video especially appealing is how it brings together two beloved realms, 1960s culture and the enduring impact of G.I. Joe. Fans of the era will enjoy the meticulous nods to the decade's aesthetics, while longtime G.I. Joe followers can see their favorite characters in a fresh, unexpected way. This retro fantasy deep dive isn't just about characters. It's about remembering how entertainment shaped an era. Movies, TV, comics, and toys provided escape, camaraderie, and a sense of heroic adventure, which this reimagining captures in spades. Now it's your turn, dear viewers. Imagine your favorite G.I. Joe characters thriving in the 60s. How would Flint or Lady J fit into this beatnik world? What gadgets would Cobra cook up? Drop your far-out ideas in the comments. We can't wait to see how creative you get. And if you love stepping back in time with us, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share to keep the nostalgia train rolling. With a dash of color, a wave of retro sound, and an imaginative pop culture fusion, these 1960 S-style G.I. Joes prove that the past is never too far away for a comeback. As Duke might say in his 60s-inspired tone, let's kick into overdrive, team. Until next time, stay groovy and keep dreaming up larger-than-life adventures. Catch you on the flip side.